Have you been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, DID? If so, you are not alone. My knowledge about dissociative identity disorder before I was diagnosed was very limited. I had to be taught what it was not before I could learn what it was, and then I could begin my journey to recovery from the effects of childhood trauma. I needed to understand I was not crazy. I was not a freak. I was not a menace to society. And the fact that I created different parts of myself during childhood trauma was not a bad thing. I don't know what your thoughts were when you were diagnosed, but I was scared, angry, shocked, confused, and my thoughts were, oof, something like this. You have just been diagnosed with DID. She said DID means dissociative identity disorder, which you may know better by the prior name MPD, or multiple personality disorder. Wait, what? I have DID? MPD? What is she telling me right now? And what the hell is she talking about? I cried, is she telling me that I truly am crazy? And the very thing I've feared is real? Did she say she can explain what fragmented parts are, and that I may not be familiar with them at the moment, but those parts can teach me who they are? What exactly does that mean? Little did I know. Very little. I was left with questions I didn't even know how to ask. Questions that made my head spin. But as I listened and learned what the symptoms of DID truly looked like, I thought about some of my past behaviors, and what I was hearing was a bit too familiar. I thought, wow, I may have just met the person who can help me get my life together. I remember having a real moment of gratitude at the thought of finding a definitive diagnosis and someone to help me get my stuff together. There were some actions I questioned about myself for many years. One thing I questioned was about losing chunks of time, large chunks. I had more questions, but I was afraid to ask, but I had to know. I asked my therapist when I would need to be locked up, drugged up, or otherwise restrained so I couldn't hurt anyone, or when would I need to be put away for my own well-being and or the well-being of others. Surely that would happen because those people were really sick, criminally so at times, weren't they? They had terrible anger issues and were among some of the scariest people on the planet. That's what I'd heard. Whoa, I had a lot to learn. My hope is that if you have fears surrounding this diagnosis, they will be alleviated as you listen to more of my story. I hope you come to know, as I did, that you are not alone with your thoughts and feelings, and you never have to be alone again. I'm speaking about this because I want other DIDers to know that after following suggestions by my trauma-informed therapist and doing the inside work, I have a life worth living today, and so do many others who have the same diagnosis. I am convinced that this healing journey is the most important trip I will ever take, second only to my recovery from alcohol and drugs. Because of my willingness to do what it takes to put myself back together, can I live the life for which I yearned and live it with dignity. Many of us are living meaningful, loving, productive lives. If you're diagnosed with DID and want to get more acquainted with your frozen, fragmented parts and live your life in wholeness, I hope you will stay and listen. Thanks.